Hey, welcome back to the Disney Plus Everyday Challenge, and today we have 101 Dalmatians. This is the live-action remake of the original Disney classic, but from 1996, not 1997 like I was saying yesterday. I was given bad information on my list that I collected. It said 1997 on it. There's an animated series from 1997, but it was not colored the animated or the series color, so it's the movie. So that's what we got here. The 1996 hour and 45-minute long movie starring Glenn Close as the very evil and cruel Cruella de Vil. And we got Jeff Daniels, Jolie Richardson as our couple. Now we got Roger and Anita. They are. This is set in modern times, so we're not. He's not a songwriter for jingles or commercials or whatever else. I'm not sure back in the day women were allowed to have jobs. I don't know, unless it was during wartime. So in this, though, she works for Cruella de Vil, which is an ironic little twist because it feels like this. Well, Cruella is a fashion icon, and she's running a business, kind of like Meryl Streep, that whole Devil Wears Prada. So yeah, it's very much like that. But yeah, she works for her. She's a designer. She happens to have a dog, of course, a Dalmatian, and Cruella becomes obsessed with Dalmatian spots, and that's where she gets her lust for wanting to kill and skin puppies. Yes, Cruella is Disney's possibly most evil villain in their history. In not in the sense that they're broad evil, like, oh, I'm a demon, or I'm a Hades, or I'm a evil sorceress, like, where they just have, some of the later remakes and stuff, Angelina Jolie as Maleficent kind of builds out their character as to give them better reasoning for why they're evil, not just, hey, we're evil, or I'm an evil stepmother or something like that. Or even in the latest film with Emma Stone being Cruella, they give her a reason to be, let's say, troublesome, but not necessarily evil. But a lot of these films, for the most part, they were just evil for evil's sake. Cruella just is evil because she wants to kill puppies, and that's not enough a reason for you to say that woman is evil. I don't know what is. I don't know what you can say. She is she is amazing in every single shot she's in. She chews up that scenery, and she does it so beautifully. The very first shot when you see her face is just this wide grin, pale face, just like it was pulled right out of the cartoon. While they take some liberties with this story, obviously, for the modern time, make it more slapsticky, more in some ways. I'll get to that in a moment. How this ends and why. I won't give away the ending, but what it builds to and why, and you'll understand completely when I tell you if you don't already know. She They have the car, the fashion, the face, the hair, the manic visage of Cruella brought to life. Glenn Close is amazing. And then you get Hugh Laurie and what's his name? Mark Williams as her minions, Jasper and Horace. Hugh Laurie, House, yeah, without an American accent. They play two doofy minions. It might remind you of two other doofy two doofy criminals. Here's what I'm going to get to. This is produced and I believe written by. It's written by John Hughes. Yeah, the same John Hughes who did The Breakfast Club, 16 Candles, and so many other Pretty in Pink, so many other classics, but also, most notably, Home Alone. Yes, and this very much turns into Home Alone toward the end, except that the puppies have been kidnapped, and they, along with their new friends in this barnyard rural area where they're being kept, all the animals come to their rescue, and they all become an army of Kevins. Literally, an animal army of Kevins that that take on these two goofballs, along with a man whose job, who doesn't speak, but whose job is to murder animals and skin them alive. And there's like a white Siberian tiger that's alluded to at the beginning of the film, and part of the way into the film, you get to see what happened to his skin. Cruella wears that skin. Yeah, yeah. He's doing it for her, and the fact that these people are so soulless they would do such things, not for sustenance, not for art, not for anything, any good reason. Well, Cruella might consider it art to be wearing a Siberian tiger coat. Maybe she might figure it art fashion to wear a coat made of Dalmatian puppies' skins. Just saying it out loud, just it's stomach churning. I mean, she's cartoonishly, yes, obviously based on a cartoon, cartoonishly evil, and that's the only thing that saves us from literally being like a serial killer movie. Like, it's in a sense, to the degree where the villain is merciless in what they want. There's a point where she goes after one of the puppies in that barn when she realizes her minions are not doing a great job. She goes to get them herself to see how the skinning is coming along, apparently, and she chases one into a barn that when she sees they're free, and she just grabs a pitchfork and starts stabbing in the hay, hoping to grab one, hoping to hit one. It's you try not to think about it. If she didn't get such a great comeuppance, yeah. By the way, don't match this film. Don't think that the Cruella film with Emma Stone somehow leads to this. They're two different parts of the multiverse of Disney films. I think they're very, very different. If Emma Stone's character eventually becomes this Cruella, something is very, very wrong. And that's not a character you can root for. The fact that they made a Cruella film with Emma Stone where you can root for Cruella is a tremendous leap that worked. I enjoyed the film, but she is the least redeemable character within these films. This and its sequel, which we saw like a year ago, at least a year ago, like May something of 2021, I checked. Yeah, so I saw the sequel before the original. I already knew she wasn't going to get the puppies. It's not like a surprise, but yeah, she's. And the great thing about this, Glenn Close, when she gets her comeuppance, she does the stunts. Some of them, I mean, but there's a big vat of molasses that is supposedly molasses, whatever they use to make it like molasses. She falls in that and gets covered in it, and then she falls into this big pile of, let's say, mud where pigs are. She's like face deep in that, on her back, like she's just barely sticking out of it, and she's just covered in hay and filth and everything else by the end of the film. That it's good on her. That I'm pretty sure. I don't know where I heard it, why I remember this, but she went all in on that. I think she did a great job. It's well cast. Jeff Daniels plays an American, not the British gentleman. Of course, they fall in love instantly because their dogs fall in love, which apparently happens, but also moves the story along without having to do jumps in time. They've known each other for 30 minutes, and he proposes to her. I'm pretty sure that was the length of time from the moment they met to the point where they're trying to recover from how they met, and they realize, oh, our dog's in love. They're totally in love because they're dogs, and you see that. You can see that, and they almost killed us trying to get together. You want to get married? So yeah, that happens. But yeah, it's a fantasy. It's not realistic. But one of the strangest changes in this is that they don't make a point to tell us that there's a dog That's going to give birth to 101 puppies at a shot, like the animated film. I'm pretty sure that's how it went. Honestly, if that dog just kept grinding out 101 puppies, I mean, you can do that in a cartoon where people are like, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe 101 puppies! Oh, it's magical." It's you can forgive that. But if in reality you're like 101, that dog is dead. That mama dog died giving birth 101 times. Yeah, it's just it. She's not. If she's alive, she's not walking again. And two, would have had to be a scene where the humans who are helping give birth, like Anita and the nanny, Joan Plowright, the two of them are just covered in blood and placenta, just everything, just like trying to handle the influx of puppies. Yeah, sure, they're this big. They're like this super tiny, but I've seen puppies being born. It's not a clean thing. Sure, it's manageable if you have 4 or 5, maybe. But 101? No. So they don't bother doing that. They do 15. Yeah. Also easier to animate once they start getting to the digital end of things, where you have to sort of have scenes where there's lots of dogs moving around. Yeah, they get very CGI after a point, and they are clearly CGI. ILM did the effects on this, and some of the characters, some of the animals, I should say, are not digital, but they're Muppet puppets. They're puppets done by the Jim Henson Company. So there's a lot going on here with in the geek special effects realm. That's kind of cool. But yeah, going back to the John Hughes thing, animals, being the Kevins, horses, cows, pigs, goats, other dogs, and in the process of rescuing these puppies, not all of which are really good at being rescued. They kind of get into their own way. And it's Horace and Jasper that are also trying to find the puppies and try to fend off the attacks from the various animals. They are totally Marv and what's his face, Daniel Stern and why can't I say his name? Anyway, my cousin Vinny. But yeah, they're completely just going through all these slapsticks. They fall crotch first on an electric fence due to their own bumbling for the most part. But there's lots of their horses stepping on things, flipping Cruella into the air through a barn roof and into the mud. And then there's all sorts of other crazy shenanigans. Raccoons tempting her with her hat and then pulling a lever and making a trap door open. It's 100% Home Alone with animals. So John Hughes really wasn't deviating away from what worked. Apparently, you put a bunch Molly Ringwald in a bunch of films in the '80s. You put maniacal children and animals with engineering backgrounds fending off horrible people in the '90s. That's just what you do. So it works. I enjoyed it more than I thought I would. But again, it's mostly Glenn Close. Hugh Laurie's great too, and I mean, everybody in this is good. I wouldn't call it the best movie in the world or anything, but it's good for kids. It's nothing creepy or weird for kids, except for the fact that there are people who want to murder and skin puppies. That is upsetting. That is something that you're like, oh, you know what? That seems like a really fun, upbeat kind of movie. But they make it so gaudily outrageous at times that you can't take them seriously. If Cruella was more quiet and subtle and darker and reserved, this would be like Mrs. Hannibal. That's what this movie would be. It'd be creepier than Hannibal. Hannibal's pretty creepy. Let's pick tomorrow's episode.
294.
294. Come on. Come on. 294. Oh, okay. You know what? This is actually. I think this is a short, but it's marked as a documentary kind of thing. But it's a good documentary, and I think I've already seen it because it came out it came out pretty much right when Disney Plus launched because it was kind of a recap of what we saw at D23 Expo a few months before. But I'll talk about that tomorrow. 294 is Marvel Studios assembling a universe. Yeah, Marvel Studios assembling a universe. Documentary. Docu short. That's what we're watching next on the Disney Plus Everyday Challenge. I'll see you back here tomorrow.